What happens when a man becomes a myth, and that myth strikes fear across the oceans? That man was Blackbeard, a name synonymous with terror on the high seas. Known as one of the most infamous pirates of the golden age of piracy, Blackbeard's legend has endured for centuries. Standing tall with a fearsome presence, Blackbeard, born Edward Teach, was a master of psychological warfare. His most iconic image, his long black beard woven with slow-burning fuses that emitted smoke, struck fear into the hearts of his enemies before he even drew a sword. This theatrical touch, paired with his ruthless reputation, turned him into a living nightmare for sailors and merchants alike. But was Blackbeard truly the monster history remembers? Or was he a cunning strategist who mastered the art of intimidation? Let's dive into the life of the pirate legend who terrified the seas. The early life of Edward Teach. Edward Teach, or Thatch as some records suggest, remains an enigmatic figure, with much of his early life shrouded in mystery. Born around 1680 in Bristol, England, a bustling port city, Edward likely grew up surrounded by tales of maritime adventures and trade. Historians believe he may have served as a sailor aboard British privateer ships during Queen Anne's War, 1701 to 1714, gaining valuable naval experience that would later aid his piratical exploits. The transition from a law-abiding sailor to a notorious pirate is murky, but it likely occurred during the golden age of piracy, a time when disgruntled sailors and opportunists flocked to the Caribbean to plunder riches from merchant vessels. Edward joined the crew of the notorious pirate captain Benjamin Hornigold, under whom he honed his skills in battle and navigation. Edward's charisma and ambition quickly set him apart. As piracy offered both wealth and freedom from oppressive naval hierarchies, Teach found a calling in this lawless lifestyle. By the early 1710s, he had made a name for himself as a bold and fearsome pirate, laying the foundation for his legendary status. The rise of Blackbeard. Edward Teach's meteoric rise to infamy began under the mentorship of Captain Benjamin Hornigold. Hornigold was a veteran pirate who ruled the seas of the Caribbean, and Teach became his trusted lieutenant. Together, they terrorized merchant vessels, targeting trade routes from the Americas to Europe. Teach's defining moment came in 1717 when the pair captured the French slave ship La Concorde. Edward renamed it Queen Anne's Revenge and transformed it into a floating fortress armed with 40 cannons. The ship was both a symbol of power and a tool of terror, enabling Teach to command the seas with unprecedented ferocity. But it wasn't just firepower that made Teach a legend, it was his ability to create an aura of fear. Taking on the moniker Blackbeard, he cultivated a fearsome persona, combining raw physical strength with theatricality. Stories of his ruthless plundering spread quickly, often exaggerated, adding to his infamy. Blackbeard's leadership style was pragmatic. He relied on both fear and cunning to maintain control over his crew and instill terror in his enemies. By carefully crafting his image, Blackbeard ensured that many battles were won without a fight, as ships surrendered at the mere sight of Queen Anne's Revenge. His rise was swift, and by the late 1710s, Blackbeard had become the undisputed ruler of the seas. Blackbeard's iconic persona. Blackbeard's terrifying reputation was built on his larger-than-life persona. At over 6 feet tall, with a wild mane of dark hair and a beard that reached his chest, he was an imposing figure. But it wasn't just his physicality that made him feared, it was his theatrical flair. Before entering battle, Blackbeard would weave slow-burning fuses into his beard and hat, creating a cloud of smoke that made him appear otherworldly. His piercing eyes, framed by the smoldering fuses, gave the impression of a demon risen from the depths of the sea. But Blackbeard's fear tactics went beyond his appearance. He understood the psychological impact of his image and used it to his advantage. By cultivating a terrifying reputation, he often avoided unnecessary bloodshed. Many ships surrendered without a fight simply to avoid facing him. One famous anecdote tells of Blackbeard lighting cannon fuses below deck to terrify his own crew, ensuring their loyalty through fear. Despite his fearsome reputation, historical records suggest that he rarely killed captives, focusing instead on plundering ships for treasure. Blackbeard's rule over the seas. Blackbeard established his base in Nassau, a bustling pirate haven on the island of New Providence in the Bahamas. Known as the Pirates' Republic, Nassau provided a strategic position for Blackbeard and his crew to dominate key trade routes in the Atlantic and the Caribbean. From here, he launched audacious raids on merchant ships, disrupting commerce and amassing a fortune in stolen goods. One of Blackbeard's most infamous exploits was the blockade of Charleston, South Carolina in May 1718. He held the entire city hostage by capturing several ships and threatening to destroy the town unless his demands were met. His primary request? Medicine for his crew. This bold move demonstrated Blackbeard's negotiation tactics and ability to manipulate fear for personal gain. Blackbeard's reign wasn't limited to naval plundering. He created a network of alliances with other pirates, further solidifying his control over the seas. His flagship, Queen Anne's Revenge, became a symbol of terror. At the height of his power, Blackbeard's fleet consisted of multiple ships, and his crew numbered in the hundreds. Though his career as a pirate was short-lived, Blackbeard's rule over the seas was unparalleled. His cunning, charisma, and calculated intimidation tactics ensured his place as one of history's most formidable pirates. The fall of Blackbeard. Despite his success, Blackbeard's time as a pirate came to a dramatic end in 1718. After accepting a royal pardon under King George I's Act of Grace, Blackbeard briefly attempted to live a lawful life. However, the allure of piracy proved irresistible, and he returned to his old ways, raiding ships off the coast of North Carolina. Blackbeard's return to piracy caught the attention of Governor Alexander Spotswood of Virginia, who saw the pirate as a threat to colonial commerce. Spotswood secretly ordered a military operation to capture or kill Blackbeard, enlisting Lieutenant Robert Maynard to lead the mission. The final confrontation occurred on November 22, 1718, near Ocracoke Island. In a fierce battle, Maynard's outnumbered forces used a clever ruse, hiding his men below deck to lure Blackbeard's crew into a false sense of security. When the pirates boarded Maynard's ship, his men emerged, launching a brutal fight. Blackbeard fought valiantly, sustaining multiple gunshot wounds and over 20 cuts before finally falling. His severed head was mounted on Maynard's ship as a grim warning to other pirates. The death of Blackbeard marked the end of an era, but his legend was only beginning. Legacy and myths. Blackbeard's death only fueled his legendary status. Stories of his exploits spread far and wide, often exaggerated to portray him as a fearsome demon of the seas. Rumors of a hidden treasure, said to be buried on an uncharted island, have persisted for centuries, inspiring treasure hunters and adventurers alike. Blackbeard's name has become synonymous with piracy, immortalized in literature, film, and folklore. From Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island to modern depictions in movies like Pirates of the Caribbean, Blackbeard remains the archetype of the ruthless pirate. His influence extended beyond pop culture. His story is a cautionary tale of power, greed, and the consequences of lawlessness. Blackbeard's ability to blend reality with myth ensured his place as one of history's most captivating figures. Blackbeard's life and legend continue to captivate the imagination. As both a cunning strategist and a master of psychological warfare, he left an indelible mark on history. His calculated use of fear and theatrics, combined with his audacious exploits, turned him into the most infamous pirate of his time. But who was Blackbeard really? Was he a shrewd leader who manipulated his fearsome reputation to achieve his goals? Or was he the ruthless villain history paints him to be? The answer may lie somewhere in between. Let us know what you think about Blackbeard in the comments. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed learning about the pirate legend, share it with fellow history enthusiasts, and subscribe to our channel for more captivating stories from the past. Until next time, may the winds of history always guide you to fascinating tales.